Ja, nej okej, där ska vi vara. Yes, vi hann! Yes, det var musical chairs här och jag pratar engelska för vi ska ta ett helt segment på engelska. Jag hoppas ni har tålamod och språköra nog till det. Vi får se hur det är med mitt. So I'm gonna introduce you, starting with the ladies of course. Monique Martin, you are a artist, producer, consultant, something from America?
I am based in New York City.
Yeah.
But I'm from California, so I always have to say that. And I'm a creative independent producer. So
Okay.
I represent many institutions and organizations in New York.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Ludvig Werner? Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Export Sweden, Export Music Sweden.
Yes, I'm the chairman of Export Music Sweden and also running the Swedish office for IFPI, meaning the Record Companies Business Association.
Okay. And last but not least, Osiel Ibáñez, you're the CEO from Musikalliansen.
Correct.
Which is?
It's an organization aimed at strengthening freelance musicians in Sweden. And the seminar that we have been hosting today has been part of our program towards inspiring and updating musicians and stakeholders within the industry.
Okay.
So this idea of this conversation, inviting Monique from New York and Ludvig from IFPI and Export Music Sweden, has been with the purpose to bring the newest knowledge and analysis to the table. And we have been talking about very interesting issues for an hour. So
cool.
We're ready to take it on from me there.
Yeah, okay. But so your point today was called Svensk kultur på export, Swedish culture on export or export of Swedish culture. How did it go, Monique?
I learned a lot. And I also shared my experience with supporting and programming Swedish artists. I've brought over Swedish artists in circus, dance, young theater for young audiences. And the last project that I'm very proud that we recently produced is A Drop of Midnight by Jason Timbuktu Diakité.
Yeah. How did it go in over there for him?
Oh, it was extraordinary.
Oh,
really very well received. When I first met Jason in 2017, I had never heard of him. And I actually checked in with Osiel because I had had collaborations with him when he was with Salam, and said, who is this Jason Timbuktu? I met him. He has an interesting story. So fast forward, we were scheduled to present the work during the pandemic in March of 2020. It got rescheduled. So it just had a successful run. And I also came back to Sweden this past November to see the English version that we created in New York here in Stockholm.
Cool.
Not here. We're not in Stockholm.
No, we're in Eskilstuna, but it's fairly close.
Yes.
And Ludvig, what was your takes from today?
Well, mostly, or like a summary, I can say that we talked about, is this the Swedish music wonder and the export of music, is Swedish music internationally? Can we take that for granted? Are we that skilled or are we that talented? So this will just go on forever. And I think, well, I don't think so. And I think we need to realize that we need to work for this, and we need political support in order to make this happen. And we need to invest in order to reap and be able to continue to be successful. And today I think people take it too much for granted.
Are you talking about Kulturskolan, like giving more money to that, like those kinds of verksamheter?
I think you need to do it all the way. I think Kulturskolan and the possibility to do music when you're young is of course super interesting. But I also think that we need to look at how our neighbors are investing in the talent that has already become talent and helping them to reach new audiences around the globe.
And how do the neighbors do it?
Well, they do it by copying how we started doing it in the 90s with Export Music Sweden. So they looked what we did, and now they're doing it 10 times with 10 times the money. And but basically they're doing what we're doing, but a lot more. Okay. And they're doing it all over the place. So we need to follow. We need to get back there.
Osiel, takeaways from today's show?
It's been a very interesting conversation with these prominent professionals. They represent different perspectives here. Monique is more into the performing arts, seeing live performances, musical acts on a stage, and Ludwig represents more the digital, the crossing borders with music and arts through the digital platforms. So they really updated us with new consumer behaviors and new trends. Monique mentioned food a lot, and maybe you can repeat some of that, because that was interesting.
Yeah.
How you see some combining the arts and the culinary
I'm
ideas.
inspired by the farm to table culture and how that has influenced and inspired the way kitchens are designed, restaurants are designed. It's more welcoming. There are more long tables for people to have communal meals together. And we still treat the performing arts sector as presentational, not engaged with, and the magic happens behind the curtain. So we talked about how do we invite audiences in, whether that's through digital platforms, virtual programming, or the live experience, but having a bit more engaged experience. And we're seeing also trends, which we didn't talk about much, of immersive projects like Immersive Van Gogh and the other immersive projects that are going out where musicians are scoring and composing music for that, but the audience has an experience that's very different than a live concert or very different than a theater program.
It felt like there was like a trend, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that, with a little bit more of a like mashup between, I can't remember the name in English. Was it like No Sleep Till something?
Sleep No More.
Sleep No More it was. And we had a Swedish equivalent in Stockholm called the Satans Demokrati, which was like an interactive theater, music. It was like really exciting stuff in Sweden, because they had like an orchestra playing in different parts of the building, so you could like walk around and hear the bass in one floor and the violins in another, and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, we talked about how that audience trends, they have a curiosity and an appetite for more immersive, less structured experiences with the arts.
Yeah, because maybe this is a little bit off topic, but I've been thinking about, when we grew up, I'm talking about our generation, let's hope we're the same basically. But like music was the defining thing for you to express yourself. Like, I'm into synth music, so I'm gonna have these clothes and stuff. It was like really, or hard rock in Sweden. There were two styles. Today, like, kids don't use music in that way. They're more fluent taste-wise and so forth. Maybe are we going to see like a backlash from the digital era? Do people want to experience stuff in real life more?
I don't know if I'm if I agree, because I think that maybe we don't see the same sort of fashion to music combination as the ones you refer to. Even when I think I'm a lot older than you, but I still think that the interest in being sort of deep dive into music and seeing that it's your personality that comes through in the kind of music you listen to is as obvious today as it was when we were young. Even again, maybe not that you have to be a synth or a hard rocker in all the clothing, etc. So I think still this is a defining part of your youth and your growing up with music. But we also talked about how genres travel a lot faster across the globe with streaming. So we have how the K-pop is now becoming not Asian culture, but it becomes world culture, and the Latin pop that did the same sort of travel maybe 5-10 years ago.
And Afrobeat. Is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a lot of those movements, and still music is, I mean, the time we all spend with music daily is breaking records every year.
Isn't it more, Osiel, you're from Musikalliansen, I mean, music is more like just something that you consume today. when you had to like raise money to buy an album and take it home or tape it from radio. Does that affect the experience for coming generations? What do you think?
We were talking about how it has become challenging for musicians to adapt to the new revenue models.
Yeah.
And for 2 decades now, from when the MP3s entered the market, we have seen a huge change in several aspects. And Ludwig took us through some thoughts about that, how the cake has gotten bigger, but the producers are even larger and
they are the winners basically in the
what would you say on
digital
that?
area.
Well,
The slices are thinner.
yeah, there's more money, but there's so many artists to share this music. If there's 80 million artists compared to the record shop, where you might, when you spent time when you were young.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the
There were
output is
maybe
crazy.
like 1,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. Of course, it changed how you consume and maybe how you interact. You talked about how you use music as more commodity, more than sort of to die for purchase this Friday when you finally got your 100 kroner to buy an album. But I think that's our way of comparing our experience with the young people of today, and I think they have a completely different perspective. I don't know what, because I'm not young, but I just have to guess in how they still interact with music, how they follow the artist on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on wherever. So I hope and believe that they still build the same kind of proximity with their favorite artist as we did, but in a different way.
Monique, what's the next big thing from Sweden that makes it in the US?
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
I would like to, I'm going to attend next week Circus Mania. Contemporary circus is one of my loves, twin loves with music and circus. So perhaps it'll be another circus show that has a lot of music in it.
That would be cool.
We'll see. I'll keep you posted.
Osiel, like what? How is Swedish? How is Swedish music gonna like? How are we gonna maintain our position as the biggest maybe exporter of music per capita anyway?
As Ludwig was mentioning, I still think that we are in need of strong support from the policymakers. Our market in Sweden isn't big enough for artists to just make it here on their own, just based on Swedish consumers and listeners. So we need to go abroad. And that has also developed us in a certain way to be quite open, early adapters and so on. So there is a positive thing that comes with that limitation, so to say. So I think that we will need to still be as open, as curious, and able to adapt to the new conditions. And it won't be easy, but I still that the opportunities now are global for the Swedish composers, songwriters, musicians. So the borders have become more narrow, so to say, more opened. But there is a lot of people that want to make it into that. So the competition is quite strong. So I think maintain our interest in evolving. And let's not forget also, apart from the structures and the supporting systems, the artistic innovation. We also need to be interested for new genres, what used to be niche before, like we were saying, music from Asia, Latin America, Africa. We need to be open for those rhythms as well, because big things are happening in that sense.
I've posted the same question over and over again. I'm going to post it to you as well, Monique. When did you have like a really great cultural experience? Your most recent big cultural experience. Sorry, it's been a long day.
No pressure. I will share that I attended it's hard to describe what it was. It was part concert. Everyone was sitting in a round in like concentric circles. The band was in the middle. They had songs. They passed out leaflets where you could sing if you choose to. They taught songs. So there was a concert. It was poetry. They had some projections, and the audience was totally engaged. And I am the worst singer, even in the shower, but I was singing and I felt so involved. And that was at the Shed in New York City
Cool.
in December.
Ludvig?
Well, for me it's easy because this Saturday I went to the release concert with the Swedish duo called Lisa Rydberg and Lisa Långbacka, and they make some fantastic combination of folk music and modern music and even classical music. They've done that for a number of years, but they released a new album last Friday, and I think it's breathtaking and
Cool.
marvelous. So check it out, Lisa's.
Interesting tip. And Osiel, do you have a good...
I'm looking forward to something that we'll try tomorrow. It's a pilot project where we will gather around a large table with musicians, and it's going to start like a conversation, but I know that some musicians are bringing their instruments with them. So it will be a conversation regarding artistry, but sort of a dinner where you're also welcome to make your point or your comment in a musical way.
Oh,
so
wow.
there is a grand piano on stage. The audience will be able to participate and take a share around the table.
Wow.
We encourage that. And I think it's going to be quite experimental and new for a format like this, that we want to try to fusion the debate that we're hearing these days with what we also want to hear in a musical sense. So let's see, looking forward for tomorrow. Maybe, I think we're even booked for the studio tomorrow, so maybe we can tell you how that worked as an experience.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much, guys. And Monique, I have to thank you for bringing up poetry, because that's what we're gonna look forward to. But I think we have something, en liten film in between, hoppas jag.